So our mandate is really to look at avenues of support for SMMEs, support for 10 high growth sectors. One of the high growth sectors that we've identified is manufacturing, revitalizing what would have been depressed economies, so manufacturing, those closest or in townships, and then really just to anything and everything that we do to grow the economy, to increase jobs, create job opportunities, support skills development, support really expanding opportunities in the economy, such as market linkages, bringing people together that can speak to each other based on the service offerings that they can provide to each other. So really it fits 100% into many tentacles of our mandate, and that's why we're so excited to be a part of it and support it. The initiators of the program have been very careful. So they started with 2 SMMEs, scaled up, have increased by 6. So there's 8 SMMEs now. They really wanted to test the model, make sure that they go through all the teething problems. So they've kept it small. I think small is good if it's sustainable. You can go big but go bust. And I think that the model that they've really chosen, small, dedicated, focused, you can track sustainability, you can track implementation, you can track a lot of what works and what doesn't work. For us, I think what we can definitely see is SMME development. So they have focused a lot on non-financial support. Often, I think the mistake that we do make, even as government, is to just think that if we put money into an entity, they'll sail away off into the sunset and work. Businesses don't work that way. And we've got to focus on the non-financial support aspects of business. How to market yourself, or how to focus on quality, after-sales service, sticking to timelines. If you've got an order for delivery on the 1st, that it is delivered on the 1st. Dedication, compliance, matters such as tax, the different bodies that regulate the different industries. And just understanding, helping people understand that the money is the businesses. You are not the business. The money that you make, that the business makes, must go back into investing and supporting your own business. Management of cash flows, management of how do you get more business? If you're not getting orders, you're not in business.
They were looking at sustainability of material. They were looking at people who actually make furniture, and they were looking at the market to increase employment statistics. As we know, the statistics for unemployment is really bad in South Africa, and we thought that this is an opportunity because if you look at the furniture that's made across the world, it's only 0.4%, as announced by DTIC recently, that South Africa is involved in. So we thought this is a great opportunity to boost our economy and to reduce the unemployment stats in South Africa. Well, as mentioned earlier, we plan to upscale the program to get more local makers, to boost the economy, and to look at how it can be sustainable for the future. We want to create something that is not going to end in a few months or in a few years' time, but something that continues forever, that is sustainable, a legacy that we can leave our kids and grandkids. So the collaboration started off with Ashley and Mike Reddy. It was a great partnership in that they stood in at a time where, sometimes when you're working with different partners, it's difficult because of protocols and policies, but they came in at a time where they could just hit the ground running with all of the programs that we needed. And without the help of furntech, we wouldn't have been at this fast track or fast stage at this point. So they really helped us because they had all of the equipment, they had the proper accreditation that we needed, and they helped to help the makers themselves be comfortable in a space where they can collaboratively work together with the equipment and to make the furniture pieces that they require.
Hopefully what it will mean in the long run is that we would have laid down a foundation for the growth of SMMEs. I believe, and I think a lot of people acknowledge, that growing small and medium enterprises in our country it's a critical priority for us. And if we're able to partner with corporate and with government, and in so doing we're able to empower people to be able to build their own businesses, with the right skills, with the right access to technology, and with access to market, then you build sustainable businesses, and that's the future of our economy. So we were looking for a training provider primarily. As I mentioned, we weren't necessarily looking for a full-on partnership in terms of providing the program and in terms of a facility where our makers could work from. We already had identified another facility where we were going to invest in infrastructure and machinery. But when we got into this process of evaluating training providers, we stumbled upon furntech, which, interestingly enough, furntech's already in partnership with the government. This facility was actually built as a consequence of an initiative between the South African and the Swedish governments. So when I got wind of what was happening here and the facilities that were made available, I realized very quickly that we were on the wrong path in terms of trying to create our own facility, and that all we needed to do was actually just partner with a competent provider. So our relationship with furntech then went from just the training provider to actually a full-blown partnership, where they now our development partner, along with the Gauteng Department of Economic Development, and between the three of us, we now provide this program to SMMEs that we want to uplift.
We established the first furntech branch in George in 2000 as part of a partnership agreement between the South African Department of Trade and Industry and the Swedish International Development Agency. The history behind that is that IKEA, the major Swedish furniture retailer, was purchasing furniture in South Africa. They were at that time fairly substantial purchases, and they had the attention of the DTI. They, however, decided to pull out of South Africa, and the then Minister of Trade and Industry, Alec Irwin, spoke to them and wanted to know why. They gave us two reasons. They said the quality of our product was not good, and we couldn't meet what the Swedes refer to as delivery precision. The delivery precision from their point of view is relatively simple. You get a time slot, you've got to be at the delivery point, say at 10 o'clock in the morning, on Wednesday morning. If you're there 5 minutes past 10, you can't make a delivery. So those were the two things we claimed. Subsequently, we found out that the challenge that the Swedes had was that they take a small percentage of your production till they get, and they carry on increasing it till they get to, they're taking the majority of your production. Then they expect you to cut your price because they expect you to improve your productivity by putting in more technology, less labor. In South Africa, that doesn't work because we got a labor problem, we got the unemployment problem, so we want to address that. And that was the reason they put it. But as a result of that interaction, an agreement was signed between Sweden and South Africa. And what the Swedish brought to the party was they brought very experienced technicians to help us to set up the skills development component of furntech. So since then, we've opened branches in Cape Town, Durban, Umthomkhulu, Umtata, Johannesburg, White River. So it's 22 years ago we started this.
For more stories like these, go to www.social-tv.co.za, subscribe to us on YouTube and follow us on our social mediums.